Okay, friends, I am super excited for who you get to meet today. I'm sitting with my new friend, Alexandra Kaval, and I'm so excited for you to get to meet her. Allie, welcome to the show.
Hey, Stephanie, thank you so much for having me. I can't wait for this conversation.
This is so fun. Can you tell us who you are, what you do, and a fun fact about yourself?
Absolutely. So I am a wife. I am a mom to three girls. We have three under three, which has just been such a beautiful gift. We're just so thankful for that. But, also wild and wonderful.
I was going to say, I have questions. Okay, keep going.
All at once. And just your friend, just so thankful for this stage of life. I adore how you've coined the everything era. I'm officially on the other side of that, which is bananas, especially because I think that I learned about you right before I was entering into it. So that's how I know, right? Like over 10 years now. But that's that's a little bit about who I am, but what I do, I coach ambitious women. So they're just struggling with overwhelm and they're struggling with limiting beliefs, doubt that is not serving them. And so we work through all of that so that they can live more intentional life focused on what really matters most to them and let go of the rest.
I love that. Tell us your fun fact.
My fun fact, there's so many different ways we could have gone with this, and maybe we can chat more about this later. But the one I picked, it's sort of I thought about it and how does that connect to maybe who I am at my core? Because I'm always looking, I'm a coach. I'm always looking for deeper meaning and the root of things. Yes. But I would say it's probably putting my hat in the ring to win things. So the first time I remember dialing into your radio station, I don't think I was even double digits yet, like maybe 8 years old, winning a seat. But since then, it's been a Kenny Chesney concert. We've got great tickets to. When I was in elementary school, I put my dad's name in to Publix to win a 6-foot sub for Super Bowl. And he got the call thinking, what in the world? Are we sure we have the right person? And most recently, Stephanie, I won a Zoom teeth whitening experience. So basically, it could be you. Go for it. Why not you? I feel like it's just been the anthem of my life. And I try to encourage women towards that too.
I love that so much because that is so, that really is so unique. I think I've only met one other person. We've actually had her on the show, Carrie Grace. And she's kind of the same belief where she's like, well, why wouldn't I just send the email and see if I could get a seat in the audience for this show as they're taping in my town or something? Why not? And I think the rest of us just go, well, because that's scary. And what if they say no and I'm never going to win? But it really is so true that if you do not put your name in, you are not going to win. You're just not. I am so inspired. I'm like, what am I going to put my name up for? What does that translate to your business, to your work life?
I would say so, because everything that I do, it connects back to thinking bigger than you would on your own, challenging your normal thoughts, beliefs, and just thinking outside of the box. And that really nudges you to do just that. It reminds, I'm not Stephanie, I'm like the least sports person of them all. It's bad, but it makes me think of that quote that you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. And Carrie is lovely. She's delightful. We've gotten to meet in person before. So I love that you had said that.
That's really fun. That's really fun. Yeah, she's so bold. And so are you. And I love that. But you're exactly right. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And so why wouldn't we try? And I want to know how many other names are actually out there. If someone does a giveaway, how many people actually entered? I don't know. I wonder if it's less than you'd think.
It's what are you counting yourself out for? That, there's so much there. There's so much there.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Okay, well, I love that fun fact. Three girls under 3. You have a girl gang just like I do. I need to know, how old are they?
Okay, so our oldest is 4.5. So she was COVID baby, October 2020. We had her, which I think is very close to your girls.
November 2020.
Okay, yeah.
4.5. I'm like, okay, let's.
I know.
huddle because
When
I
did this
have, again, I
happen?
have questions. Yes.
Yes, very much so. And I remember listening to your episode with Carl when you were announcing, not their birth story, but just maybe the announcement and like literally crying. Like I still go, I remember that and just your story and I mean, just beautiful. But yes, we waited a while to have kids. We did. And then once we were in it, we're like, okay, let's do the thing. And we were just so thankful that it ended up working out. But yeah, so 4.5, our middle just turned 3, and then the baby's 1.5. Maybe another little fun fact to add into that, the oldest and the youngest, their birthdays are one day apart, which there's a lot of feelings from a mama heart with your oldest and youngest growing a year older within a day of each other.
How does the math work on that? Were you pregnant like on their first birthday? Is that like,
Oh yeah. The first, I think,
is that the math?
we were maybe 8. She was 8 months, my first, and we got pregnant with the second.
When
And
you had
we're,
an 8-month-old, you got pregnant with your second.
and then with the next one, she was 9 months when we got the positive for our third. And my favorite thing is when we were moving homes and I was in my second trimester and had a 1-year-old and 2-year-olds. I don't think I would recommend that, but it ended up working out. That was wild. Yeah.
You should have an award. Like you should get an award for that. That is so incredible. I'm like, this is a whole, subsequent kiddos is not a road we've like had to walk down. And so I'm like, I know that there's math where it's like you're Irish twins or something, but like, I don't know when that happens, but yours are closer than that. Right?
I guess technically, yes. I want to say Irish twins is 2 under 12 months, which is insane. But we had 3 under 3
Okay.
years. I think technically we may be Irish triplets.
Oh,
I mean,
my.
you did twins. Twins is just twins. I love it. I love it. But also, I cannot imagine walking that. But it's just the best thing to kind of see on the other side. And I'm so thankful. And we're already having these moments, these pockets of seeing them as their own little tribe. And I love it. I love it.
It's so special. It's definitely the transition and the early years were super overwhelming for me. I don't know if you would say the
Agreed.
same.
Agreed.
But it's cool because now I'm like through it enough, through the transition enough that I feel like I can go back and talk about it. And so that's actually something I've been working on lately is putting together resources and a new course for women as they are making the transition into motherhood because I mean, it just was like the most completely overwhelming, disorienting experience of my life. And like my thing, my like true call in life, I feel like is to learn something and then turn around and anyone who's a step behind me go like, okay, do you need this? Because I cannot like exist not making this easier for you if I can. And so that's we're kind of starting to talk about motherhood.
That is so important, so powerful. I heard it said, even if you're 1 or 2 steps ahead of someone, you have something very valuable to offer them. But just doing that, and I mean, obviously you put together courses and all these things in a powerful way, but what a gift. What an amazing tool to these women, because it's sometimes your friends haven't gone through that and you can ask for the advice and the is me too, that you wish that they could share with you. And that's amazing. I was listening to a podcast the other day and they were talking about their postpartum period. And to be quite honest, it's hard in some ways to go back to that because there were beautiful moments, but there are also some really, really tender ones too. And so to listen to that, remember like, there were really challenging spaces and how much we have grown, how much we have learned. Like, it's been wild, like the exponential growth, not only as a person, as a mother, but like as a person too,
Yeah.
So thankful for it. Yeah.
There's a thing that Carl and I have talked about for years. When we were dating, I guess, we were dating and he was moving from a house into an apartment building. And so I was helping him move. And he had friends that like helped him with different things, but I think the final day where he had to get the last few things out of the house, it was just us. And he had this queen size mattress that we had to get like up this flight of stairs. And It was super hard. It was a super twisty set of stairs. It was absolutely the like Friends pivot moment. It was not easy. We're both sweating like crazy. And then we get up to the top and we were like, oh my gosh, we did it. And truly for the last like 12 years, we've said to each other, well, like we got the mattress up the stairs. What else can't we do? Like, what can't we do? We got the mattress up the stairs. And we just always talk about that. And I love that that's so true about motherhood as well. Now we're like, okay, forget the mattress. We got twins and ourselves through the first handful of years of their life. Like what is out of reach? Absolutely nothing. But it's just so cool when you kind of build up wins like that and you see you're pushed beyond yourself. You see what you're capable of, and then it gives you that confidence to go, okay, well, I didn't think I could do that, and I did. What else is available to me?
Exactly. Gosh, so well said.
Okay, let's get into actual questions here because I have so much to ask you. I'm really excited about our topic because overwhelm is something that I'm totally familiar with, as are all of us. And I'm absolutely guilty of feeling like everything is important and having a really hard time narrowing down what is like actually needs to be at the top. So before we dive into that, though, I want to hear just really quickly, like, how did you start working as a life coach, and like specifically with ambitious women and business owners? Where did that come from?
Yes. Okay. So it all kind of stems to honestly going back to that everything era, like the beginning of my 20s, and was just going through a search for purpose and meaning and identity. Like that quarter life, there was literally a book I saw in Barnes and Noble in the clearance section, but like, thank goodness for that because it was up front and center. And I remember like sitting by the pool and reading it. It was literally titled Quarter Life Crisis, and just having this narrative that, goodness, everyone else has it figured out. What am I supposed to do? What's wrong with me? Why can't I get it together? And as a type A perfectionist, that was like, I still to this day, like feel a hole in my stomach, like just thinking about how tough that was. So really that's where it stemmed from, like my own challenges in wanting to figure it all out, and then wanting to support other women and finding their thing, because I know what it's like to be on one side and then I know what it's like to be on the other side of it. So that was kind of like the genesis of it, Stephanie, the heart of it. And now over the years, it's really come to be about women who really know more about what their thing is. Sometimes we'll talk about that, which obviously I'll always have a passion for, because there's so much to be said about wiring and what your calling is. And it was just hard. But now it's about how to live that well, how to do that with intention, how to do that with focus, without distraction. But really, I love so much. Someone had said, like, coaching, it's like putting on glasses. All of a sudden, you can see more clearly. Things aren't as foggy anymore. Or, like, one of my other favorite analogies, it's kind of like a GPS. You get to go further, faster than you would on your own, right? Like, you're avoiding traffic, you're avoiding bumps in the road, things like that. Like, it still might take a certain amount of time, but like, why wouldn't you go somewhere, especially somewhere big, without that? So really just like planning and purpose, it's the fiber of who I am. And then doing that for other women. There's nothing like it. It's so special.
I love that. I love that. So talk to me about, with as many women as you talk to, and I know that they are probably in all kinds of different life stages, and you said ambitious women and business owners, but like that can look like a million different things. Why are so many of us overwhelmed? Like, why is that such a common thread? And I guess, is it like, is that something you're seeing in all the women that you work with?
1000%, right? Like we just,
I was leaving a little bit of an opening just in case it's like just somehow just me.
just in case. But like we live in this noisy world. Like there's so much vying for our attention. There are so many distractions. I do this for a living, right? Like I coach women to live more intentional and focused lives. And it's still like daily choices, daily practices that I myself have to make. And just so many women, like we care about it all. We want to do everything feels important, and we want to do it all really, really well. And I feel like, of course, that we know there's so many good and positive things about social community or social media and the community and connection it can create. But like really when we think about it, it's like watching other people's wins all day. And in a very short period of time, it just becomes very compounded. And I remember there was a time where people were like, what are these kids doing? They were like watching YouTube, watching other kids play, like what's wrong with them? That's messed up. And we're like, wait, like that's what we as adults are doing all the time. We're watching other people live their life. I know it like hits you. We're watching other people live their lives. Are we missing our own? And
I didn't realize that was a thing, that there are YouTube channels of watching kids play or like unbox toys or something. Like, and I still have never seen them. I need to just go look so that I know what I'm looking at. But I just recently, that's come sort of into my field of vision. And I'm like, that is a thing that is ridiculous. But I never, like, you are absolutely right. It's the same. Yep, that sure is. That is the same thing. Okay.
And I know. And it's just like that we don't even see it, right? Like we don't even recognize sometimes what's happening with ourselves. And that's so much of what coaching can be, is that awareness building too. But maybe two other things I'll add is that it's like comparison. And I think this is especially difficult for women compared to men. But like, I don't know about you, but sometimes, like if I'm being honest, comparison can even fuel me. And that can be dangerous. Like I remember when I was starting my business, seeing like, oh, there's someone else I went to high school with who's launching this business. She just launched her website. Like, of course I can do mine. She did that. I can do that. But it can be a slippery slope so quickly. But I think, Stephanie, I would say like at the heart of it, women are so capable. And the women I work with, especially, like they have the biggest heart to help. They can and they want to, but it's like, when is enough enough? And that's the dance of it.
So how do we, like, I guess let's start there. How do we figure out when enough is enough? Or maybe a different, I mean, tell me what the way is to say it that like is the most helpful. How do we figure out what's ours to do and what's not? How do we figure out what our priorities are versus somebody else's? Like there's so much on our plate. Start there. How do we start to clear some of it off?
Yeah. So, okay, a couple of things there. It's almost not being busy can feel wildly uncomfortable. Like sometimes we create this space and then we're like, what did we just do? Like, we feel like we have to be going or moving to be successful. So it's like really questioning, what is success? What does that look like? And getting curious about that. But it's like, it's so easy to fall for, I would say for me, for so many of the women I work with, of prioritizing like the urgent over the important. It's like it just feels good to be moving, to be seeing things getting crossed off a list. But I always love this picture. It's like, yeah, you may be moving, but is it in the right direction? So, like thinking about a ship, even if they go, let's just say 1%, 2% in a different direction, they are going to end up in a significantly different destination. And so when we think about it like that, it almost kind of piques our interest of like, ooh, maybe I should be a little bit more thoughtful of what my time is, looking towards and working towards these days. One of my favorite quotes, this is an Andy Stanley quote. It's that the things that I get distracted by are never as important as the things that I get distracted from.
Can you say that again?
Let's repeat it. Yeah, for the people in the back, we'll say it louder. The things that I get distracted by are never as important as the things that I get distracted from. And just letting that sink in. Yeah. And thinking about whose voice are you letting be loudest in your life? Is it someone that really needs to be weighing in like they are? And just getting curious about what that looks like, what your narratives are, what you're tending to cling to. And is that life-giving or not?
Yeah. That's something that we've been talking about so much here for, I mean, really years, but especially in this last year since my book Create a Life You Love came out, it's when it comes to our big decisions, I mean, we're making them with a giant backpack full of expectations, some that people have intentionally given us, some that we just sort of picked up along the way, some that no one actually said out loud, but like we know that that's what we're supposed to do, quote unquote, supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so we talk about that a lot about like who says that it has to be this way? And like, are we really going to believe them? Like, is that someone we want running our lives? But I don't think about it quite as much when it comes to dos and like on sort of a more micro level. But I feel like maybe we should really be thinking about that because like you're saying, if you're moving, okay, well, little by little, you're moving forward, you're moving in a direction. And while it may not feel like that really adds up into anything, just like the ship, if you are like you're continuing to move forward and if you're going a little bit off course from where you want to be, like someone plopping something onto your plate and saying, hey, you need to do this, at some point that really adds up into a life that you didn't actually choose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes me think that quote, like our days become years and years become your life type of a thing. So let's just get really thoughtful about what our days are looking like because they add up. And especially, children are a great marker. All of a sudden, we're about to have 5-year-olds. Like, when did that happen? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What so how do we have these things on our plate, all these things that we're supposed to be doing. Maybe let's just think about it like a to-do
Mm-hmm.
list because you can, I don't know, if you're anything like me, you put like absolutely everything on a to-do list. You're like shower, brush teeth, check. That felt good. How do we only have so many hours in a day. Our days become weeks, become years, become our life. Like, how do we start to sort through some of this pile and like maybe cross some things off, or like erase some things? Like, is that what we need to be doing?
Yeah. So it kind of, I think, goes back to that idea of are we working on the most important things or the things that are just feel like fire drills? So what I would say here, Stephanie, is going back to what is your purpose? What is the focus that you're called to? And sort of let that be the filter through which you're making decisions. So just getting curious about what are your values? What is your mission or vision for your life, for your work, for your family, and anchoring into that daily. I remember when I was in corporate looking to make the shift into running my business full time, I kind of had this document that I would review at the beginning of every morning. And it would be like my fuel to get focused, to keep going, to remember the bigger picture. And whenever we can write that out, I feel like that's that much more powerful. But how can you anchor into that thing daily? So, really practically speaking, we've heard of maybe what's your word of the year, something like that. But then what I would say to take it even further is think about how did I at the end of the day, or maybe at the beginning, how could I honor that today? And that's just a really practical way to think through are my to-dos in alignment with where I'm looking to direct my life.
Mm-hmm. Can you give some examples of, big picture things like, I'm part of my mission is to connect with people I love, or part of my mission is to make other people's lives better, or part of my mission is to, further this cause, or, it's like we have some of these really big picture things.
Totally.
But that I don't get a little, not granular, but a little bit more middle ground with us, because I feel like that's where we get caught.
Yeah. It's like we've got this great big picture idea, but then how do you actually live it out? How does it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
and what do you do with all the stuff that's sort of disconnected, but maybe important, maybe not?
Yeah. Well, maybe this is a good time to. Have you heard of the big rocks, like rocks, pebbles, and sand visual?
I have, and I think actually my husband really loves it, but he hasn't. I haven't heard him talk about it in a while. So share it with us because that's fantastic.
Let's do it. And okay, so there are two sets of buckets, if you will. One with rocks, one with pebbles, and one with sand. So they're doing a little demonstration. If you want to look this up, I think it's Stephen Covey is the one who did this.
Okay.
And it's like hilarious because they've got, I think, shoulder pads. Like it's from the 70s, 80s. It's entertaining just to watch the video in and of itself.
Mhm.
But so they put the sand in the larger bucket, and then they put the pebbles, and then they put the rocks. They try at least. Not all of them fit. There are a couple that won't go in there. So then they got that other set, same exact amounts. They put in the rocks, and then they put in the pebbles, and then they put in the sand. It all fits. And you're like, wait, what? And the purpose of this is just a beautiful visual to show that when we prioritize what's most important, when we put first things first, everything has a way of figuring itself out. There's room and space for it all. So, like, what is that? But do we live our lives that way? Like, so oftentimes we don't. It's like the most important things we put on the back burner.
Mhm.
And that's, gosh, that's so hard. That's so hard. But to think about like one of mine, for example, relationship, that is sort of the word that's driving me this year. So I'm thinking about, because I can have a bent to doing and like prioritizing productivity over people. And that's something I'm challenging myself to do a bit differently, right? Because at the end of my day, like, do I want to say I rocked my to-do list or like I loved my people so well? And so to be really real, that's something friend of mine for me. And
Mhm.
something in relationships. So what are like the different buckets? For example, here's how I've played it out. What does it look like to pour into relationship within the four walls of my home, right? So what does that look like to go deeper with my girls, with my husband? So for example, prioritizing doing a lunch date while the girls are at preschool. On Sundays, having my mother-in-law come so we can go for a walk, going for a getaway together at least twice a year. So like that's what relationship looks like. With the girls, having little one-on-one dates with all of them, really just being so intentional about what it looks like to show up for them and who they are. My business community, like I have a friend, I feel like you'd really appreciate this, Stephanie. She's like a best friend, but life, sometimes you can only get together with your best people like every other month type of a thing, but you still love them dearly and they still love you and you pick up like there's nothing. She's like, hey, can we move our dinner date to a lunch date this week? Can we do Wednesday? Because I'm moving to Costa Rica on Saturday. You're right. And I'm like, wait, what? And so there was my heart's broken, but I'm so happy for her. And bring up that story just to like think about how grateful I am for the relationship she and I have had. So many other people in my life, and just really wanting to create a space for that for other people. And with the work I do, Grace Based Christian Coaching, there's so many amazing women that I get to come across. And like, what if I can connect them in more intentional ways with meaning and purpose? And so I launched this year something I said I would never do a few months ago, a group program to build that connection. So those are a few like really specific examples of what that's looking like played out in my own life.
Yeah, that's really awesome. There's a Mark Twain quote that do you know what I'm talking about? Hang on. Let me find it. I think it's attributed. I want to look this up because I want to get it right.
Mm-hmm.
This is most often attributed to Mark Twain. I think I saw at one point that like no one actually. I'm going to say Mark Twain. If you're going to use this somewhere, like if anyone's going to put this in a book or something, like double check. Don't quote me. Go make sure that he actually said it. But I love it, and it says, if it's your job to eat a frog, it's best to do it first thing in the morning, and if it's your job to eat two frogs, it's best to eat the biggest one first. And like, one, that's so gross. And two, I've thought about that for years. And like, there have been times in my life where in my to-do list, I have like the two frogs of my day highlighted. And I mean, honestly, I need to do that again because you get the things that matter most out of the way first. And then whatever happens else in the day is like, okay, well, good. That's a cherry on top, but you made sure that you actually did the most important things and that they actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really hard.
It's so hard. Okay, so to add on to that too, I was working with a client and we were trying to help her focus, right? Because everything felt important, everything felt mission critical. And we're like, well, what if I'd heard the thought of like a big three? What is your big three for the day?
Mhm.
But even that was too much. She's like, I'm going to throw that out the window. I'm going to think of like the one important thing, the one important thing. And that's how she began to focus her days. And 9 out of 10 times, she would get that done, feel like $1,000,000, and then end up getting even more done than she would have otherwise because she simplified it to the one and just wanted to offer that.
What have you seen in terms of like before and after? Like in theory, I know it's so interesting talking about this because I do feel like I'm in a place where I've been like spread really wide and thinking really wide and focus like not focused, and I'm like currently in the process of being like I think if I narrow my focus and really work on a few things and really focus on them, that I'm going to get like I'm going to be able to do more than I would if I did more. And that feels so counterintuitive. And so I'm wondering, as you've been walking so many women through this, like, do you have any like proof from down the road that by limiting ourselves, we're not actually limiting ourselves?
hmm Yeah, 1000%. There's a really practical visual that I can tell you. Have you heard of the book Essentialism?
Yes. And
Yeah.
I read it a long time ago, but I don't remember, like, it's been long enough that I don't remember very much about it.
hmm Okay, so I feel like this just really summarizes the book. I'm sure you can find a great book summary online. But if you'll remember, like back in the day when we were in elementary school, we draw a sign. It was like just that circle with the little lines kind of coming from the outside of it.
Hmm.
And then right next to it, they draw the circle and then one real long line, an arrow going straight up. And that's, I feel like, the book in a nutshell. When we focus on one or two things, we just shoot up and go so much further, faster.
And like, have you seen this?
That it's the truth of it, right? Like and it kind of goes back to the how our brains work. Like we were never really meant to multitask or do a million things at once. That's just exhausting. We get wiped out by it. We're making progress, but we can't really see it as well. And we get discouraged, unmotivated and discouraged by it. So when we're focused on a couple core things, it's such a gift for our brains. It allows us to go into that deep work more quickly. We see results faster. And it doesn't mean it's a forever thing. Like I love a quarterly goal, for example. Like how can you go all in on something in a 1 month challenge or a 3 month challenge and like a 1 month challenge or do a quarterly challenge? It's just such a gift for your brain and honestly, quite honestly, your progress of just going all in on one or two things. And it's not, I always just say it's like not just what you're doing, but how you feel during it. That really matters too. Like some of my most successful years in business, like they looked really good on paper, but at the end of it, I'm like, ooh, I don't like how I showed up for myself, for the people that matter most to me. And the way you feel matters too. And sometimes not focusing on everything, but one or two things can be the biggest gift for yourself along the journey as well. But that's like
Mm.
another way to say it. Here I am going back with athlete ideas, which the least athletic person you'll meet. But just thinking about like someone like Monet, right? Like a beautiful impressionist painter, so skilled and gifted. But what if he was really hung up on, I'm just not a great football player and I want to be able to do that well. And so he's spending some time painting, some time doing football, some time learning piano. Like, sure, he could do that, but like, what if you went all in on the one or two things that are really for you? How could your life look?
That's convicting. Anyone else? I mean, this really is so timely for me because I'm with you in the fact that relationships are hands down the most important thing to me. The only thing that gets in the way of relationships for me is my to-do list. Is like that's the thing where it's like, well, okay, I could do this social thing, but like also I could check a few more things off my list. And it really is kind of a toss-up for me. Like I have to I kind of want to do both. There is something, I don't know if you are in a Bluey phase in your family, but we are in like a major Bluey phase, which I love. It is this Swedish show. But they have a whole episode about problem solving and like how sometimes you just need a good problem. And I think the mom is fixing a toilet. And like her kids are looking at it like a bummer that she has to do this. And she's like, no, like I'm having fun. I like a good problem. Like maybe when you're bored, you just need a good problem to solve. And I've been trying to think about things like that more often because checking things off my to-do list, sometimes it is such a pain and I don't want to. But then sometimes like I do enjoy a good problem and it's like it feels like a puzzle to me. So I think there's room for that is what I'm trying to say there. But there really is a toss-up in me sometimes of, am I going to be productive? Am I going to spend time with my people? And that's a hard place to be. So all that to say, like I'm a get it done kind of person. And I do feel like I am pretty focused. If I decide to do something, I'm going to do it and I'm going to probably do it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But even with that said, the amount of things that I've gotten distracted by, or like the amount of things where I've been like, instead of really focusing on this and making this better and better and better, what if I do this whole other thing instead? And like I've spent some time doing that. And I don't know that looking back, which is something I've been doing lately, I'm like, it's not that those ideas were a waste, but they weren't taking me where I wanted to go. And I think had I had a narrower filter or kept myself to a narrower filter, I think I would have benefited from it. Trying not to like woulda, coulda, shoulda too much. But moving forward, I'm trying to be much more narrow because the Monet thing is exactly right. Like, Claude, seriously, please do not work on football. You're not going to be a football star. Let's just stick to painting because can you imagine what you could create?
That's it. And in those moments where you're tempted to go a different direction, I mean, to a certain extent, like that's normal. Human nature. It's like squirrel. There we go. What else is a sparkly, fun object? And maybe sometimes what feels like a distraction is exactly where you're supposed to be. So want to honor and recognize that. But just it's like the discipline to take a moment to get curious, like, what is this about? Am I about to encounter something difficult with whatever it is that I was focused on? Am I worried or fearful something's not going to go a certain way? I've heard it said like that perfectionism it can just be so crippling. Where's the quote, Stephanie? Okay, it's lost on me. But perfectionism as a form of procrastination. Or procrastination is a form of perfectionism. But just really thinking, what is this distraction about? What is at the heart of it? What's at the root of it? And noticing that and leaning into that can be hard, but healthy.
Just taking a couple more minutes to ask questions instead of like sprinting down a road.
That's exactly right. Because it goes back to that visual, like, okay, are we going in the right direction? Just like getting curious, what is this telling? Like, what is this indicating? Do I just need a break? Do I need just a good meal of protein? Do I need a nap, right? Do I have to go in this other direction or just need a moment to breathe and get perspective?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Tell me something that is, I think, really hard for all of us is setting boundaries. And so if we have this clear direction of where we want to go, or we're taking the time to say, like, why am I doing this? Or, where am I headed? What are my rocks? Like, what do we do when people around us either question our rocks or try to like slip some in that some unsanctioned rocks, if you will?
Yeah. What is life without that happening? Oh, I feel you on that one. That's such a good way to say it and to describe it. Okay, so a couple of different I was like coaching questions, if you will, as we think about this, is maybe thinking, how do you feel after you're doing the thing. I was chatting with a client and she put it as like focusing on benefits over barriers. So maybe it's something that you don't want to do, but you know you're supposed to, type of a thing. Focusing on the good that may come of that might help you keep on track when it would be easy to do something different. Getting curious about like what is happening in the hard moments. What are you noticing? And if you just keep on doing what other people are piling in, slipping through, like what is the cost? What is the cost if you don't make a change? Or like what maybe sounds good, you feel like you're supposed to do, but it isn't really working for you. And getting curious about this in a little bit of a different way, like what's at stake if you keep going, if you keep moving forward with their priority instead of what you know yours is supposed to be. How is life going to look like in 1 year, 3 year, 5 years? Or if you make the hard, uncomfortable, bold decision because you know it's the right one leading you towards that path, what will that free you up to do? Like, what is that going to create space for? Because sometimes, like, the no's are so hard, but we really need a compelling yes to say that confident no.
Yeah. Yeah. There's something that I've talked about on the show before, but I don't know how recently. There I get caught up with, relationships truly are my most important thing. And I don't like disappointing people. I like, and not even in a people pleasing way anymore, although that used to be absolutely a thing for me. But it's more just that like, I genuinely care and I genuinely want to do all the things and be with all the people and have time for everything. And there were seasons of life where I would get really caught up in this. One, honestly, is probably coming up. It's when we go home for the summer. We'll be in the US for the summer. And I have like 1 month in Denver, 1 month in Indiana, like to see our families and to catch up on so much that we've missed. And it is going to be so tempting for me to want to say yes to a million things or reach out to a million people or like try to cram in absolutely everything. But something that I had to do several years ago was like quite literally rank my people in terms of importance. And like, maybe it's like the old food pyramid. And so you have like a few people. So we're going to flip the old food pyramid. So you have like a few important people and then a few people who are like still important, but less so. And then more people that are still important, but like less so. And I just had to start thinking about the people in my life this way because otherwise, like, and that sounds so cruel. That is not a comfortable thing for me to talk about, like do or talk about. But you get caught in things like, okay, I'm going to go to this event that I don't want to go to, that I don't care about, put on by someone that I don't really know to support them, and in the process miss my own kids' ballet recital. Like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. That is never the correct choice. And it's really hard to tell that person, you know what, I can't be there. But the person it's way harder to tell and way worse to tell is like your kiddo. So, but I mean, it's things like that in so many ways. If you only have so many slots in your day or your week or your month for dinner with a friend, you could say yes to someone you don't know very well, or you could say yes to your very best friend because that's the relationship that you want to prioritize the most. There was a time, for a long time, I answered every single email that came into my inbox. I mean, for like years and years and years. I just made it a policy. I was going to answer every single one. And it took a really, really long time to like pry my hand off of that because it was so important to me. But then I realized that, my mom would call and I would be like, I am emotionally tapped out. I have nothing left. And I also don't have any time to chat because I'm answering all these emails. And it's like, okay, these emails are really important. For me, who's more important? My mom. My mom. And so until I'm able to talk to my mom and take care of and be with the people that matter most, like I don't have space for anything lower on the pyramid.
That's so well said. And it's a hard choice, but it's like, what decisions do you need to make to show up for the people that you want to in the way that you want to, and just protecting, be fierce about protecting that.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the fierce yes. Like, it's really hard to say no until you go, like, but the fierce yes is going to my kid's dance recital. Like, that's like I can never say no to that. I could talk to you for absolutely ever about all of this, but is there anything that we missed? Like any last piece of encouragement or advice or just anything that you want to leave us with? I'd love to hear.
Yeah. So maybe a thing or two that I would add for us, Stephanie, is to think about going back to defining success, getting curious about not what that looks like for the people around you, what that looks like for your life, based on where you're at and where you want to go. And consistency is the key to it. Time will pass. It absolutely will pass. But community, connection, and focus is going to be critical as you move forward. And so to just make that choice, like maybe it feels like a really big mountain to climb, but just making a choice every day is going to really add up over the years, over the weeks, over the days. And so many of my clients, they say, it's not like the circumstances around me necessarily change, but how I'm showing up for them and how I'm viewing them are, and everything feels different. So just having hope in that, that you have the power to choose, you have the power to shift your outlook, perspective, and that can really be transformational. Like there is so much hope, such a great adventure for you on the other side of this all, just taking it one day at a time, one step at a time. And it's possible for you too.
Love that. Allie, thank you so much for coming on the show. I just have loved this.
Thank you so much, Stephanie.